Now then guys, how is it going? Joining me out in a very windy garden today for a product review. We're taking a look at the ZWO FF90 Apo that's currently mounted on my AM3, and I think it's probably going to stay there as well if I'm being honest. I've been enjoying it basically. So what I want to talk to you about with this, first off I'm going to get right onto the price, because that's obviously something that's going to matter more than anything to a lot of people out there. Me included. It is £1,000 or $1,000, and I think, well, it's definitely not a little amount of money. You know, 1,000 is a chunk. In Astro gear, it doesn't go as far as you might expect usually, but this represents very strong value for money. I think it's clear that they've kind of trimmed down some of the package, if that makes sense. So it doesn't come with a case, it doesn't come with a diagonal or anything like that. It's all about the scope, realistically. And I'm honestly fine with that, because I'm not someone who really travels with my scopes. But if you're someone who's looking for a scope you can kind of bung in your car and travel with, maybe that's something you need to know about right now. Of course, it does just come well boxed, but it is at the end of the day a cardboard box, not a travel case. This is its full extension to give you an idea of the length of this rig. So this Dew Shield, of course, is a sliding design. If you want to use it photographically, you do need this adapter that I'm just pointing out to you right there. It's kind of a long thing, but that's what it needs. If you want to use it visually at long distances, you won't need that. If you want to use it visually at short distances, as in 5 meters or so, where I was playing around in my garden with not too long back, looking at kind of like bugs on flowers and stuff. I promise I'm not a weirdo. It was just more fun than it sounds. You will need that extension, but that will allow you to focus actually incredibly closely. It's like some sort of weird macro viewing experience. It's pretty fun, I thought. Now, all of my testing has been done during, of course, these summer weeks that we've had so far. I've had it out every single clear night, been doing my absolute best with it, but we've had to contend with moonlight, we've had to contend with no actual astronomical darkness, of course, and on top of all that, very short nights. So I've not got really an abundance of data, but what I have taken, I think, is more than enough to show the performance of this telescope. So I'm going to take you through a bunch of points about it throughout the course of this review. Let's just keep it informal, as that's how I like to do things. I think it's really the only way that it can be. And I'm going to start off by talking to you a little bit about that value for money. Of course, as I've already said, it's £1,000, but one of the good things about that is I genuinely now, after using it for a while, hand on heart, I don't think someone would buy this scope and feel like purchase regret like you sometimes mind if you're purchasing something that's quite an expensive piece of equipment. It's kind of easy to justify that price point when it performs like it does. There's certainly a point, at least I think there is, of diminishing returns, where there's like a ramp of performance and quality that you get as the price of a telescope typically goes up, and then it kind of tapers off, and that last 10% or whatever of performance is going to cost you probably double whatever the telescope's value was to get you almost all the way there. So this falls right in the sweet spot, I think, of price to performance, really on the upper end of it, I would say. I'm very pleased with it from that standpoint. Now, overall fit and finish, the paint job, I think, is lovely on this. I really like it. It's like a textured enamel paint or something like that. It's kind of an odd thing to pin down exactly what it is, but I've seen it on a couple of telescopes now, and it wouldn't look out of place on a scope twice this price. I wouldn't say, not in any way. The quality of the rings, the shoes, of course the top shoe as well, which you can also put something in. That's a good part about this thing. It comes with 3 different kind of accessory mounting points just naturally on there, which is always going to be handy. And the dovetail is a Vixen type that comes with it, and it's more than long enough to get it balanced. I've found even with a reasonably large imaging rig, it's not like a full, mono with 2-inch filler wheel rig, but it does have a rotator and quite a large camera, as cameras go, and it's been no problem whatsoever. So really happy with it from that perspective. Now, fitting an autofocuser couldn't have been more straightforward, as you might guess. I did fit a ZWO EAF to this right after I'd done most of my visual testing, and I found it to be it's just working absolutely fine. I will say, of course, testing the focuser out of the box and moving it manually, it's got about 3 centimeters of travel, and it moves smooth but with a little drag, I would say, but still miles better than the focuses that you find on stuff that's cheaper. That's something I really need to put out there. It's by no means a bad bit of kit. Moving on anyway to overall the image quality, if you like. Hey guys, I'm just taking over from Garden Luke here for a moment because that guy can ramble. I'm going to talk to you about the image quality performance of this telescope and hopefully not waste your time in doing so. So this is a second attempt. I figured this was the better way to do it. Anyway, so first off, the scope is called the FF90, right? So it implies that it's full frame capable. And I have to say, if you just want to know right away, I think that it is full frame capable. To test it, I put my Canon R8 on the back, which is a mirrorless full frame camera, along with a William Optics M48 terminating adapter. I took a couple of snaps and then moved on to some other testing. Now, overall illumination quality, you can see there's just a slight vignette visible on these test frames to the absolute corners with a gentle roll off towards full brightness in the center right there. So this is something that flats would correct. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. This is a really good performance overall. Now, if we move on to talking about the image quality from a star quality standpoint, so if we zoom in to about 200% using the absolutely wonderful Windows photo viewer, apologies that we have to use this. I just goofed up and captured JPEGs rather than RAWs. My bad. You can see center star quality is really rather tight. It's I'd find it hard to be unhappy with this, you know what I mean? The stars are round, the stars are tight and nice and clean. Now, if we jump up to the absolute corners of full frame, you know, where we saw that slight vignette, you can see that the stars lose that perfect roundness and go ever so slightly towards a bit of a squash on them. Nothing dramatic. I think this is a really strong performance for a telescope of this size, aperture, weight as well, I have to say, and price range. If we just go top right now, you can hopefully see the same sort of thing. It's a radial thing from the center, hopefully indicating that it's not anything wrong with my camera or anything like that. It's probably just natural to the telescope, and I think the spot diagrams sort of back that up. You can see bottom right, same sort of thing, just that very slight elongation. It's probably hard for you to really make out what I'm talking about, and that's because it is quite a small aberration, but it is there. So of course I want to draw your attention to it so you can see it and be sure if you're going to use this for a purchasing decision. Bottom left, this corner was better than the other corners, which might indicate some small degree of tilt, perhaps somewhere in the system. Could be my DSLR, could be adapters, could be the telescope. I don't know. Right now there's no way for me to check, but I did try to do a field flatness test, again over full frame, to give you an indication of what its coverage is like from that sort of standpoint. And to do that, I put a Bahtinov mask on the end, tried to focus perfectly on a star near the center, and very slightly failed to do so. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that central bar is fractionally below the actual what would be the center line. If you imagine it going through, it ain't much, but I thought I'd draw your attention to that again and just point out my own goof very slightly. So you can see just very slightly below center. And as we move around the image, if that central bar moved up, down, or whatever significantly, that would indicate that there was some sort of flatness problem going on. But hopefully you can see top left, about the same position really. So from flatness, it's already starting to look good. Top right over there, so we're in the absolute top right now, about the same. Bottom right, just some slight, I don't know, secondary squish or something going on in this corner that I'm not sure exactly what it is, but you can see those points of light are about the same position. We didn't really see any extra issue with stars in that corner, at least as far as I can tell. And this is bottom left again, arguably the best corner of the four, I think it's safe to say. And then back to center. So from a field flatness standpoint as well, I have to say it's really rather good. So the full frame claims, I'm happy to say that yes, it would absolutely support full frame. If you want something that's going to support full frame perfectly to the corners, so the corner stars look like as good as the center stars, you're going to need to spend about 2 to 3 times as much money. Just be aware of that, and then you're probably going to pass it through the same tools as me anyway, which is going to get rid of any difference really between them. Silly as it sounds. Here you are anyway. I decided to run a color test on this thing. So basically monochrome camera, full filter wheel of filters, LRGB, HOS and infrared as well, just for completeness. Focus with the button of mask in luminance, run through all the rest of the filters, taking test snaps on each one without touching the focuser again. So you just leave it alone after you've focused it in luminance, and the central bar movement will give you an indication as to the color correction performance of the telescope. If it bounces around a bunch, you know, if it's over here, yeah, it's got some significant issues with chromatic aberration. If, like this, it barely moves at all, then it's really well color corrected, and I'm happy to say that it is well color corrected. If I just go back rather than rushing ahead, this is luminance. Red, you can see again that central bar. Green, blue, hydrogen. You can see now we're probably going to have to look at the knots more than anything else. They still look centered to me. Oxygen, fractionally off to the left. I think just a little bit. Sulfur, again, back to center, as you would expect. It's very similar wavelength, really, to hydrogen. And then infrared, back off to the left once again, but really actually not that bad. And I think one of the contributing factors to this really strong color correction performance has to be the fact that it's a little bit slower. F6.8 is not always a negative thing when you're trying to deal with getting optics well corrected. A scope being a bit slower can really make that job a bit easier, which means they can probably make a few savings and pass it on to you and I. Now, a few test images if you want to see a little bit of stacked data. This is got a couple here. So this is the Pelican. This is the richest one. Let me just try to pick a good candidate with lots of stars to show you. I think probably the Veil, actually. That's the richest star field that we can analyze. So this is APS-C now with the dual band filter. And you can see if we zoom in to absolute center, star quality is very nice already on an unprocessed image. Loads of nets and knots of nebulosity, sharpness overall. Wonderful, even on you know, low amounts of data like this. You can see this stacking artifacts uncropped over there, but absolute corners of APS-C are excellent. So if you only really ever plan to use this thing on APS-C, man alive, I think you'd be happy with it. Really, I do. That's really what I plan on using it with, and this is a really excellent performance. You can hopefully see as I move around the field of view right there. I've just gone and done a lap for you, victory lap, as it were. Performance is really, really nice, and I'll just show you a couple of completed images from this. So here we go. So this is the Veil, processed in PixInsight, real quick, 16 5-minute subs, tons of sharpness, loads of color coming through, and of course once you've passed it through some processing tools, well, your stars are already really good in corners, but now they're absolutely perfect, of course, everywhere. And that's the power of like the RC Astro tools. There's lots of other tools out there, but that's what I used for these. Hold on one second. I'll get you the Pelican up. So this is a really nice region in it. Look at the amount of color in this thing. It's just stunning to see. It's not something I actually really spend too much time photographing, but after some processing, you know, there's all sorts of stuff popping up, like what's this little claw feature here, and just sharpness everywhere in the field of view, and I like it. It's a lot of fun to use a telescope when it's like this, and it's got that dependable performance thing going on. And here's one where I took some shots on the Pelican. This I think was again 25 5-minute subs, so this was the best data set that I captured, and I decided to process the one in kind of fake Hubble palette style. Again, just dual band color data, and overall it's lended itself to it very, very nicely. As we pan around the image, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't at all be unhappy with this. I think it's a really strong performance. Back to garden, Luke. It's manageability. I think it's one of the big things I want to touch upon here and draw a little bit of attention to, because I'm definitely someone who I seem to suffer from like gear creep, I would say, where if I've got something set up on a mount like this, and I all have the opportunity to, I'm starting to make plans to put something bigger and bigger and bigger on it, basically up until I'll reach the limits of what's feasible to carry outside. But because I've actually been reviewing this, I've been in a way forced to keep using it over and over again, and it's actually been a bit of a learning experience for me, because I've really enjoyed getting to kind of know this scope and use it over that period of time. And one of the reasons for that is because it's just so manageable. The whole thing is like, it's light, it's no trouble at all. This rig as it is just about perfect, I think, especially for backyard stuff. It's really easy to just buy a rig that's too big, and it's like anything. If you find that setting something up involves quite a lot of friction, then surprise, surprise, you're going to probably stop setting it up as much as you probably could, unless you're someone who's incredibly motivated for this kind of thing. For me, I'm all about removing friction where possible, and this leans heavily into that. It's not too heavy, the whole rig. You can get this as a bundle, by the way, currently from ZWO, and I think other retailers too, but like the FF90 and AM3, or actually your choice amount, and a TC40, and I think that works awesome. I would strongly recommend, if you're going to go for those bundles, though, if it doesn't come with it, you're going to need a peer extension of at least 160mm, 200mm, that kind of way on, because it is a fairly long refractor. You know what I mean? It's quite classic looking, if you like. And that means that as it's going to point up towards zenith, you are going to run into positions where you might have the potential for tripod-like collisions without a peer extender like this. So that's just something you definitely need to like budget for if you're going to do it. But overall, I mean, this rig is just so manageable. You know, you can pick it up with one hand and it's just carry it outside. And it means that when your rig is like that, you probably will use it more. At least that's what I've been finding. There's been certainly no mental barrier to setting up. I don't know if you've ever felt it. Probably not, but I don't know. Like, it looks like it's clear night and you might almost go, oh, I've got to set that thing up. None of that with this. So if that resonates with you, maybe have a think about getting a smaller rig like this. Overall then, yeah, image quality, color correction, I'm really quite happy with, to be honest with you. No complaints overall whatsoever. It can be bought with a reducer, I do believe, or at least you can get one separately, which takes it down to f5. Don't know if I mentioned this earlier. These things are unscripted, if you can't tell. A really grab-and-go usable rig at a mid-focal length is always going to find use, basically. Any time of the year, you've always got something to shoot, because you know either one extreme or the other of the focal length zone. So that'd make it just squeeze that little bit neater into that Goldilocks zone, I think. And so overall, anyway, this is a telescope that I think I can easily recommend. ZWO is just making it too easy at this point to review these things, because there's clearly a lot of thought that's gone into the design of these telescopes. This is, I think you can probably tell, like a ASCA 91F that's recolored, so it's a well-known and enjoyed telescope already at this point. They haven't been out that long, but people have been using them, have been taking great images with them, and this is just more of that. And what more could you want, I think, at this point? I've used a lot of telescopes over time, and this is, yeah, it's really standing out to me as like a price to performance, like a value king. I think it's really up there, and I find it easy to recommend. So I hope you take that recommendation quite seriously. I don't just give them out for nothing. I've been lucky getting a lot of good gear to review, but when the price is right too, it makes it ever so easy to recommend this kind of thing. So if you're in the market, you should certainly be having a look. I hope you found this useful. I want to say, as always, thank you very much indeed for your support. I really do appreciate you guys. I might have said that once or twice, but I certainly do mean it. And I'll see you whenever I see you in the next one. So until then, clear skies.